Welcome back. Today we're going to be discussing how to create a GUI skin for LaunchElf. So the first step you're going to want to do, get some fonts that you want to use if there's anything in particular. The main thing you may be after here is going to be the PlayStation button layout, and I will include some fonts with this video, all the fonts that I have acquired just to do this skin and a couple other things. So get your fonts, get a background. You're going to want it to be at least 1200 by 750. This one's a little bit bigger. We're coming in at 1333 by 750. It'll work just fine. So we're going to open this with Paint. I'm just going to be using Paint for the simplicity. So here we have a full screen. So there's a couple different ways to do this. The first thing you're going to want to do, figure out what applications you're going to use to start off with. So what I'm going to do is make a apps, probably a games, and then settings. So first things first, make a copy of this and save it. That way, if you mess something up and accidentally save, you can always revert back to your original copy here. So back into Paint. Now, essentially what we're going to have is a, let's get square here. So this will be our first window, and actually let's undo that really quick. We're going to change this over to white. First window. Turn on grid lines, because what we're going to do is we're going to essentially create the box here, and then we're going to create another one here, and then another one here. That'll be page 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to use 3 CNF files. You can use however many you want, however many pages you want to have. So we'll turn on grid lines there, and you can do this in any old color you choose. Any size you want to make that a little bit bigger. And so now we're going to come over here. Trying to figure out what text I want to use. If they all installed, we'll use this one here. And we'll just name, make that a little bit bigger, whatever's going to fit. Alright, so there's going to be our apps folder. So essentially what you would want to do now is try and get another box this exact same size. Pretty close. That's pretty darn close. And it's not going to be perfect, and you won't notice it a whole lot. But what we're going to do for this one, we'll change this to blue. So essentially what you have here is you have your selected, your white is going to be your selected. So this is the screen we'll be on, and your blues will be your next page. So we'll go through, create one more box, because again, I'm only going to use 3 for this video. Oh, and I hit the wrong button. Accidentally right clicked over that, which will delete it. I have a new mouse, so it's a bit different than my last one. Redid a bunch of stuff on this computer just because I want it to last. So that's pretty close, so we'll move this over there. And we'll go back in our white font, and this will be Games. And then this one might be a little more difficult because Settings is a fairly long name, so we'll just, and it's still not going to fit. We'll just put config. Alright, so this is going to be our main page here. So I'm going to go ahead, save as, and you want to save this as a JPEG. Save as WE background 1. So now that that's done, we'll come through and see if this is going to work with this background. There we go. We're going to save as 2. So now we have our second page in white where this is selected. And then we're going to come through one more time. Background 3. So let's go, I'm going to minimize this here. We're going to create a new folder. Oops. New keyboard as well, a little difficult to type. I found these Red Dragon keyboard mouse combo on sale, and I actually like them a lot. It's probably one of the most flowy keyboards I've used with the button presses there. Alright, so here's what we're looking at. So we go that. So that's going to be page 1, page 2, page 3. See how it's kind of got that GUI flow to it. This will be essentially the same thing. This will be our LaunchElf 1, LaunchElf 2. So next out of that, bring paint back up. So then we will go, I'm actually going to close that, open number 1 back up. Oops. So now that that's opened up, we can change our font or change our text here, and we're going to go, did that one install? I don't think I installed that one. Alright, so the other font must not have installed. Must not have had it in the folder for my laptop. But anyway, so essentially what we're going to do here is you can create another box. We'll just do like a circle sort of thing here. So you can drop pictures in here, like an OPL picture or something. That's what this one's going to be. It's just OPL, and actually no, we'll put this as SMS because I guess OPL is more of a game. So here's page 1, SMS. What else is there? ESR, I guess, would be considered a app. And again, this isn't going to be perfect. This is just a demonstration, and I won't use these circles. This is literally just for this video here. So now we can go with ESR. And if you want, like, you know, I released a build I did, or a pack for Retro Launcher. So if you want to have Retro Launcher in here as well, we can always, well, that would fall under games, I guess. So we'll put that in the games folder. So there we have that. And now you're just going to come over, and I'm just going to select a native font here. So you can always have X. This is just basically telling you what button you're going to press to access SMS. So X, we'll go with circle to access your ESR elf. And so this is page 1. So we're going to go ahead and save that for WE background 1, SMS, ESR, X, and O. We'll exit out of that. Now we can go over to background 2, which is our games. I keep double clicking. I'm used to my laptop where it just opens Paint when I double click. And so now we can come over. Similar thing here. My circles are not going to line up from the previous one, but you'll have to make sure when you're doing your images, because that's obviously what we're going to want to do. When you're doing your images, make them all the same size. Depending on how many you want to show on the menu, we have quite a bit of space to work with here. And then for Retro Launcher, then if you have, say, Pop Starter or something, you can always come through and pops. And I'm just going to put pop because it's going to exceed our circle there. All right, so we have page 2. And now for OPL, we will do, let me change back to the Arial font here. L1. And you can change these to whatever you want for the simplicity of this, and because apparently I didn't install the buttons, we're just going to do whatever. Doesn't matter what you choose, you can choose whatever you want. RTL, we'll do L2, and pops, we'll do R1. So now we have WLE background 2. Make sure we have that, because we're going to be going back and forth between 1, 2, and 3. You don't want to overwrite 1 accidentally, so always just double check. I know we can tell by our white box up here, but you will make this mistake if you don't pay attention, because I did quite a bit the first time I did this, and it got a little frustrating. All right, and now we can go ahead and edit the last one. So for this one, I'm just going to do a square box down here, like a rectangle box. And then we're going to put in here, I'm going to change the font and the size. Go back down to minimal hard. Configure WLE. And if you have your FreeMcBoot set up, I'm using on this particular PS2, I'm using Modbo, so I don't have FreeMcBoot, but you can always come through if you want to get back to the home screen of that and do some configuration or do whatever. Come through. I should probably create the box, huh? Make this just a little bit bigger. FMCB. And you can keep going. Like I said, you can have as many CNFs as you'd like, but we're doing 3. So we click the save button there. So that's what we're looking at. Oh yeah, forgot to, and I'm just out of it today. It's been a long week at work. Can only get so many hours, so I'm off today. Oops. the select button here. And if you want to get back to FMCB, we'll do R2. So now we can save that. So that's what we're looking at, essentially. All right, I'm going to stop this over here, get my PS2 booted up, get these images put onto the flash drive, and we will go from there. All right, so now that we have our PlayStation 2 loaded up, let's go ahead and launch WLE. Hit select to configure. We are going to come down to screen settings. Apologize. Startup settings. We'll be using screen settings here in a bit. So number of CNFs, 3 for me. However many pages you've created is how many CNFs you're going to select to use. Return and hit OK. This is going to save that CNF file, whereas it saved at MC0. So now go into File Browser, go to MC0, down to your system configuration, and we are going to copy, go down to mass, and we are going to paste that. Okay, now that that has been pasted, we can exit out of this, take your flash drive out of your PlayStation 2, put it into your PC, first things first, drop your skins in here, which is the ones we created in the previous section of the video. Now we're going to copy the CNF file, paste, and paste. So we can go ahead and rename this one here to LaunchElf 1. This one is going to get renamed to LaunchElf 2. So now that we have our essentially 0, 1, and 2 created for my 3 pages. Now if you're doing 5 pages, you're going to create 4 copies of this and name it 1, 2, 3, 4. So now that that is done, we can safely eject our USB device. Get this screen pulled back up here. All right, plug back into the PS2, go into your file browser, go down to mass, go all the way down to our skins here, press X, press X, press X. That's going to select them all. Press R1, and we are going to copy. Now we can hit triangle to go back, go up to MC0, go down to system configuration folder, and we are going to paste all 3 of these. All right, now that that is done, exit file browser, go down to miscellaneous. Now we're going to go to load CNF --. Give me 1 second here. You may have to unplug your storage device because it's going to want to load that from the USB. So let's do that one more time. Miscellaneous. So now it's loaded from MC0, file browser, miscellaneous one more time. And we're going to load CNF++. All right, so now that that's done, plug the USB back in, reset the console. That way this can populate into WLaunchElf. Now we can go back over, open this up, and we should see load CNF --, and ++ in here, which we do. So essentially what we're going to do now is you can hit left and right. So now we've loaded LaunchElf 1, LaunchElf 2, and if you keep going right, you're going to end up back at your 0. All right, so now that we are on 0, 0 is going to be our first page, which would be apps for me. So now we can hit select to configure. We're going to clear that out. Start, I always put our file browser as like a hidden option. So now SMS is our X. And ESR is our circle. We're going to hit OK to save that and just verify those are on there now. And now if we hit right, it's going to pop back up to what we initially had for our first CNF file, because we've made 3 copies of those. So now that we're back over here, we're going to go down to configure again. We are going to come down to screen settings. This is going to be a little bit difficult for you guys to see. I'm going to change the color of this a bit. All right, this is just so you guys can see during the video. We're going to go down to skin settings. So now we're going to apply our skin path. So our skin path is going to be our WLE skin background number 1, because this is our first page. Hit OK, apply new skin, and now we're going to go to GUI skin, and we're going to select the same thing. Once that's been selected, just double click, make sure we've applied skins here, and it saves. Apply GUI skin, and now we're going to turn show menu for this section off. Now we're going to return. We are going to save skin CNF, and we are going to put it right here in the WLE skin folder, and we are going to name that S1. Okay, now that's been saved. We can return, hit OK here. And here is our first page. So the menu's gone. Now we solely rely on our button configuration. So if we want to launch SMS, you press X, and SMS loads up. We will reset the console here because I don't have any in-game reset set up on this one. So now once that's loaded up, we can go back into WLE. And now we're going to hit the right button and we're going to go configure LaunchElf 1. So same thing as before. Let's go into configure. We'll clear that out. We'll clear this out. We will set our hidden menu. Whoops. To our file browser. And now we're going to go to L1. L1 should be OPL. All right, L1's configured. L2 for me is my retro launcher. All right. And then R1 is pop starter. So now we can come back down to screen settings. All right, just doing that so you guys can see. If you can see just fine using the black text, you can try it out and see. You don't need to change this because we're never going to use it again, essentially. So, skin settings, skin path. We are going to do WLE skin number 2, which is our games. Apply new skin. GUI skin, we are going to do our second background. We are going to apply that. And then show menu off. Return, save skin CNF. And then we're going to have it up here in our 3 horizontal dots. Hit start. And we will name that as S2. Okay. Hit OK again so we save. So here's what we're stuck with. Now again, we can do OPL with L1. Alright, let's reset. Since again, I don't have in-game reset done. I didn't think about that before starting the video. But this has been a long time coming. It's needed to be done. I was supposed to do it a very, very long time ago, and I just never got around to it. Alright, so then, again, back into WLE. And now we're at our final, well, my final, again, depends on how many pages you have. Same thing. Configure. What was I going to set that to? It was a FMCB, and I don't even have FMCB on here, so we're going to just set it to PS2 browser. Alright, so then we'll come down to screen settings. Let me change this background color once more, just so kind of see what we're doing. Alright, skin settings, skin path, background 3, apply new skin, and GUI skin, apply new skin. Or GUI skin, I guess. Show menu, we're going to turn this off. Return. Now we're going to save it. And this one will just get named S3. Return. Hit OK so that it saves it. That's what we're left with now. So that is essentially how to create a somewhat GUI. It's not, you know, like a flowing GUI like the PlayStation 3 has, but in my opinion, this would be a better menu than the original Free McBoot menu because I don't care for it. I wish we had the option to do like icons and whatnot, but we don't. So now that you've done this, you can go in and set this to auto boot into WLE and have this when you first start it versus going into Free McBoot and then going into LaunchElf. And we'll... Apparently my L2 button don't work on this controller. That's what's up. Interesting. Yep, L2 don't... I didn't even know that. L2 does not work on this controller I use for testing out consoles. I never have to use it, so, but that is essentially it. That is how you skin LaunchElf. We'll reset the console, go back in just to show that the pages are still there. Now, if you've done this using a USB device, that USB device will have to stay in the console. So I can link the ones that I use. They're these little stubby, I think it's a 16 gigabyte verbatim, and it works great. You can hardly notice it's in the console. Make sure all pages are still here. That's it. So you can customize this to your heart's content, however many. I mean, there's a limitation on pages. I'm not sure what the limitation is, but, you know, most people do anywhere between 3 and 6 pages. So that is it. That's all you got to do. So having said that, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video. I do apologize that it's taking me essentially 10 years to make this video, but it's done. And the reason, you know, just ran out of time, didn't have time, forgot about it. I mean, is what it is, but it's done now. So I hope that you guys do enjoy the video. I hope you find it useful, because I didn't really find a whole lot across the internet back then, and I did a couple searches, and there's still not a whole lot out there. So yeah, if it helps you, you like it, drop a comment, throw a like, subscribe, you know, whatever you want to do there. But I'm gonna stop the video. Thanks for watching, guys.